Welcome back YouTube. It's time to put the head on. I was going to put the head on and put the cams in. I'm not going to put the cams in just because I've decided now that I'm going to get fresh tappets. I did clean the old ones out. I was going to reuse them, but with it doing 100,000 miles, I thought I'll get new ones. Obviously I did ring Volkswagen. They're like 15 quid each. I thought I don't really want to pay that. There's 24 of them, so 24, 15 quid. And that's with a slight trade discount and without the VAT as well. So I've got some coming from a company called Motive. I'm getting through Euro car parts. Euro, I reckon they're pretty decent. We'll have to wait and see. I'll see what they look like when they come, but they're like £4 from each. So I just thought, instead of using old ones that done 100,000 miles, I thought the aftermarket ones at £4 from each would be better than using 100,000 mile ones. So I ordered them, but we've still got a lot to cover with the studs. Got to put the dowels in. There's a one-way valve as well that I need to cover. But before we do any of that, we're going to go over, clean the head gasket down, and I'm going to be spraying it with this Loctite spray. Basically, I had this for my BM. It was highly recommended by the Polish guys who build all these turbo BMs. They use it on every single head gasket they use. I used it on mine, obviously never had a problem. So how much of a difference it makes, I don't know, but I'm just going to put it on anyway. Obviously, I've already got this tin from the last time. I've only sprayed one head gasket with it, so it's nearly full. The head gasket I have got is just a Victor Range one. So it's just an OEM Victor Range one. It's multi-layer steel. This is, again, Victor Range I've never had a problem with. I always find their stuff to be spot on. With the ARP head studs and the extra clamping force and everything, I'm hoping I'll blow the head gasket out. You can look at them Kinetic ones and everything, but when you look at them, all they are is multi-layer steel head gaskets, which this is. I've already got low comp pistons, so we're not trying to lower the compression, so even if I went for a different head gasket, it shouldn't be any thicker than this one. And this is already multi-layer steel, and then and then it's Vuitton as well, which is exactly what the other ones are. So I don't really get the difference other than jumping up to like one that's got the like the crushed washer kind of thing, which I haven't got, or a copper gasket. So I'm just going to be going with a Victor Range OEM one, sprayed with a Loctite and the ARP studs. So I'll cover everything here in a minute, but before we cover everything in here, I'm going to go brake cleaner this down, blow it off, spray it with the Loctite, because once you spray this on, you have to wait 10 minutes for it to like go tacky basically before you put it on. So that's what I'm going to take you over first, show you that, and then we'll come back over and start cleaning and covering everything you need to do here. So then when we've done that, this is ready to sit on, and we can put the head on, torque it down, and that'll be for today's video. So without any further ado, let's go clean this, spray it, and get this thing cracking. To the block. A couple of things you want to do first. Obviously, you need to make sure all your cylinders are clean, and you want to re-lube all your cylinders, put a bit of oil around just so when it starts it's not dry, etc. So you just want to oil them down, clean it all off. Obviously you want to clean the mating surface on the head and the block. I've already done some of it, I will go over it again. Well, you don't have to, but ideally you want cylinder 1 at TDC, just because that's where you're going to go with your timing chain, so it's just easier just to get it there now so you know everything's right. You have got a time mark anyway, so yeah, you don't really have to do that, but I just wanted to get it ready. Obviously you need your dowels, which I'm going to put in a sec. You've got 2 dowels. I've got new ones, which are here. So I've got 2 new dowels I'm going to put in. And then the other thing that you do not want to be missing is this. Now, depending on how far you've gone with this, if you've not taken this part out, then obviously you've got nothing to worry about, other than it might be worth taking out and checking it. What this is, let me open the packet. I got a new one, again, you don't have to. I don't know how easy you can see, but there's a little ball in there. So this is another one-way valve. Exactly how the other one was, basically how we talked about the one in the oil filter housing, which is a one-way valve to stop the oil from the engine draining back. This one is to stop the oil draining from the head. So basically with the flow of the oil, it goes past, as far as I know, just the 2, which is the one in the oil filter housing, which obviously keeps some oil in the block, and then this one, which is the one for the head, to keep oil in the head, just so you keep oil in different sections of the engine, so when you start it off it's not, so otherwise if you left it for a couple of days or whatever, or even just overnight, all the oil would just drain back to the pan. Then when you started it up, you'd have to wait until the oil got to the top and everything, so for a second it'd be running dry. So that's what this is for. As you can see, it's got an O-ring on there. If you want to test yours, you can just put a pick or a little screwdriver in and see if it goes back. My old one was fine, but again, 100,000 miles and that is just not really worth it. I don't know how you can see, but there's a thread in there. So basically, if you put a bolt in, that's how you get it out, the old one out. Kind of just sits in. So you just slide it in, and that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna get some blue on this and we'll get it in. Right, so obviously you wanna get some oil or lube, whatever you're using. The ball side wants to go down because obviously as the flow goes up, that's when it can't come back down. So you put the bolt in, just screw it in lightly, and then basically you just wanna work it, just wiggle it around, get it down as far as it can like that. Screw the bolt out, and then that's it. That just sits in there. So obviously this is the main oil way. When I blow down there with the airline, you can feel it come out where the oil filter has there. So obviously after it's gone through the oil filter and then it comes up, it will basically, this is the main oil feed to the head. So it'll come through there. Obviously there's a hole on the head side which then will feed the head. That's what's got the one-way valve. So every oil in the head, once you turn it off, will not go past this valve. It will just sit there, and then the ball will open again when it starts up and oil pressure starts, opens it back up basically. So yeah, now that's done. Now you want to be looking at putting your dowels in. One dowel goes just here, and the other dowel goes just there. You can tell just by putting your finger in where they go. You can't really put them in the wrong place. Obviously, with the hammer, be careful. You don't want whacking in. I'm literally just using the weight of the hammer, so I'm just kind of letting my hand fall down. Just tap. You can kind of hear from the sound when it's all the way down. Make sure it's seated before you tap it down. See how it's like a light tap, and then you hear like a, see how the sound gets deeper. Obviously you want to put that in before you stud as well, just because when the stud's up you're not going to get around it. So for my final clean, this is what I like to use. Obviously I already wear glasses, so I already have these, and I find these really good. Any kind of glasses cleaning wipes, it's just because they're obviously, they have no lint on or anything, and they've already got like a kind of alcohol based cleaner on them. They're not the cheapest. If you don't wear glasses, you probably won't use them. Obviously I already have these, so I just find them to be good to do the last clean. I just use your normal rag and brake cleaner, and then when I come in for like the last clean, when I'm not going to touch it again, I'll just go over it with these, just like I said, just because they're lint free, they've already got alcohol on, just to get off any kind of last bit. So I'll just clean over here. Next thing to do, we're going to start putting the studs in now. There is two different lengths, as you can see. Right, it goes that way around. Obviously your 5mm Allen key is always at the top. Put a little bit of lube on there, ignore that. So basically these are your two different lengths. You have 7 long ones and then 13 short ones. So basically your long ones on the 24 valve on this engine, I don't know about the rest of the engines, basically these are your 7 long ones in the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's your 7 long ones. The rest of them are all your outer ones, so you'll have 13 outer ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all the long ones first. So we'll put the 7 long ones in, and then we'll go around the edge and do the short ones. The ARP assembly lube, that's probably a bit too much, but we'll spread it out and see what happens. Obviously, as I said, make sure there is no crap, liquid, anything in any of these threads, and we'll just put them down and see how they feel. These are just meant to go in finger tight. Here we go with the first one. Like I said, these are meant to be finger tight. I like to snug them a little bit just with a quarter drive, just use my finger. See what I'm saying? They should just go down like this. At any point, if they don't feel right, then the thread all the way down. Yeah, see that don't. Yeah. So I don't know if the thread on the standard ones goes all the way down to the bottom. Have a quick look. Right, so I've got a tap now. M10 by 1.5. This one should be long enough to go all the way to the bottom. Yeah, that feels like it's sitting on the bottom now. Can't really see anything on tap. Blow that all out and we'll have another go. That fixes it. Third time lucky. Right, it's still not all the way down. This tap is tapered at the bottom. So I bet you it's not going through the last bit of the thread. Come back. We've got a couple of things to cover. Obviously, last time I got down to the point where I was saying that the stud is not going all the way down. Now, there's a couple of things I found. For a start off, I tapped out the holes. What you need is something called a plug tap. Basically, a plug tap has minimal taper on it, so it goes all the way to the bottom of a hole. So what I did was, I used a plug taper, went all the way to the bottom. I've got a picture of the crap that I've got out, so I'll put that up now. Now you've seen that, you can see the crap on it. Obviously, I still got a slight bit of taper on the tap. So after I'd done all of them, all 20 threads, I then ground the tap down and did it again so I could get to all the way to the bottom, which I'll show you now. As you can see, I ground a little bit off the tap, basically, so it had no taper on it whatsoever. But then I found out that's not really my problem as such. What it is if you look on the stud, you have almost like this shoulder bit. Now on the short one, on these, because the long ones are in the center, on the short one, the shoulder hits the head, and basically it doesn't bottom out because the threads aren't bottoming out, but basically this shoulder is hitting the head. And when I measured it with a pick, you can measure it with a pick, I'll show you that now. As you can see with the pick, how it's got that little bit extra, that is basically the gap that you'd have at the bottom of the thread. You need gap at the bottom of the thread, because otherwise when the engine gets hot, really hot, and it expands, if it's touching the bottom, then it basically, as it expands, it'll be forcing against the threads, trying to push the stud out as such, so it should never bottom down. So these ones, these are fine, because you've got a gap underneath. Now the middle stud, the long ones, this is where the problem is. Now I don't know if I'm getting this problem because this kit's been made up, because obviously Pro Race made this kit up for me. I don't know whether it's because the kit's been made up and it's a slightly different stud, or I don't know if you just get this if you bought the kit as a kit from ARP, I'm not too sure. Now obviously you don't want the thread to be bottomed out anyway, so it's already going to need backing out. I didn't know how important it was for the shoulder to get down to the head. I guess it's not that important. But one thing that I hadn't noticed all the way along when I was doing this is obviously in the center of the head, it's actually in the head where you need more depth, because where these bolts, where the bolt head would sit, is lower on the outside than on the inner. So basically when all these are screwed in, these should sit higher than the outer studs, but that's not the case. If you screw this all the way down, obviously even if you backed it off a little bit, this is barely higher than that. We're talking like a mil, 2 mil, couple mil, nothing really. So if you look at the studs, if you hold the thread at the top, where this is where you screw it in, so this is where your nut's going to go, is exactly the same. The shoulder is in exactly the same place. The only difference is the longer one's got more thread on it. So the only thing I can think to do is to back it out even more. So how much I need to back it out, I don't know. This is the problem. So what I'm going to do is, the only way I can see I'm going to be able to do it is I'm going to have to put the gasket on. By the way, I've cleaned all of this down, I've oiled the bores again, so everything's already ready now. So I've just put these on just to align it, but I think what I'm gonna have to do is, I'm gonna have to sit the head on with the gasket and then work these out after. As in, maybe put the washer and the nut on, screw it down just so you've got a little bit of thread coming through, and then touch it down with the Allen key in the middle, and then do the nut up basically, so I get the right depth. I don't know how well that's going to work out, but we'll see that in a minute. As well as that, I've decided I was just going to ARP lube these, which I have already. Now I've cleaned it off. Is because I've got to back them out a little bit, I've decided I'm going to Loctite them just a little bit. You shouldn't be putting Loctite on the nuts or anything like that, but you can put Loctite on the threads. For the stud. ARP recommend Loctite Blue, I believe it is. We haven't actually got Loctite. I've got a different brand, but I cross-reference it. It's basically exactly the same stuff. It's just because what we keep in here. So I'm going to use that. I'm just going to put a little dab on. But yeah, what we're going to have to do is I'm literally just going to put the head on. I'm going to leave these in just to align it, just to make it easier to drop it down. That's why I've put them like that. But basically what I'm going to do, all these are just finger tight. I'm just going to put the gasket over, and then we're just going to have to slide the head on. I'm just going to have to work out what kind of depth to see if these are right or not. I'm hoping basically the extra thread, I'm hoping we'll get the same amount of thread out of both. So essentially, do you know what I mean? So that amount of thread will still be used, but on this one, so it'll probably come up to about there. So you're probably going to have, you essentially want this amount of thread here probably sticking out, so it's like, no, so it's like that. So if you got that flush, this is your extra depth. But in all reality, I'm not going to know how near I am or close I am until I put the head on. So I'm just going to have to put the head on and just try and work it out, really. There's nothing else I can do, because obviously this needs to sit higher than these, because otherwise there was no point in having a long one. Because essentially if you bottomed it out, it's no longer. Because you could even, because it's bottoming out, if you cut it, even if you cut it, obviously I'm not going to cut it, but even if you cut it to the point where the shoulder then sat in here, you'd essentially have exactly the same stud. Well, that's the shorter one, but you get what I mean. You essentially, if you was to cut the bottom off, because of where the shoulder is, you'd have the same stud, so it'd make no difference. So yeah, without any further ado, I'm going to go get the gasket. Obviously we sprayed that stuff on it. I'm going to lay it on. I'll give this another quick wipe before I put it on, but yeah, just going to put it on. We're going to have to put the head on, and then we're just going to have to work it out from there. So yeah, I'm going to go get the gasket. Obviously we sprayed the gasket with that stuff, so it's all tacky. Just got to be as careful as possible. Cleaned everything as best I can. It's not the lightest of heads. We are. On the down. Oh, right, you don't really want to do that. You don't want to be slamming on the gasket, but shit happens. I see there's actually quite a lot of thread on that. Quite a lot of thread on all of them. I don't know how well you guys can see, so I'll put up a quick photo. Basically, I'll show you the long one in the center. I'll show you now. As you can see, that's only got a little bit of thread coming out. That is bottomed out, which obviously is not going to how I'm going to have it. So I think by the time I wind it up, get the nut, have a little bit of thread through and the washer and everything, I think that will give me more than enough space at the bottom to not worry about bottoming out as such. As you can see, these ones over to the side have got loads more on. So they're obviously going to be fine. So yeah, I'm just gonna Loctite. I'm only gonna put a little drop of Loctite on, but I'm just gonna put a little drop of Loctite on. I'm gonna put them all down, basically finger tight. I might do just except for these ones, just with a finger, and then get the nuts and washers on. So yeah, let's start doing it. What I'll do is I'll put all these in, and then what I'll do is I'll put all the short ones in. I'll jump back. I'll show you one of the long ones quickly and what we're going to do with that, and then we'll jump back to like when I'm going to lube it up and that, because you don't want to watch me do all of these. Right, I've decided to do the center ones next, so I've put all of these in, all the short ones this side. I'm now just going to jump onto here. So what I've done is, obviously I've put the ARP lube on the thread on both sides of the washer. I even put it on the other side of the nut just to be extra careful. What I've done is, for now, I've put about a little bit of thread through, maybe put a little bit more on. Probably go for about that much. Yeah, it's going to be a fair amount of thread even at that going into the block. Right, so that's about the length I'm going to go for. Again, I'll switch back in a sec because you don't need to see me do all of them, but essentially that's what I'm going to do. I'll get the other short ones done and then I'll come back when we get the torque wrench out. Got the torque wrench out. I've got the order you need to do it in here. One came with the Victorine's headset, the head gasket, so I've got it here. What I'll do is I'll put up a quick picture quickly now. So now, if obviously you can just look it up yourself, but if you need it, it's there. You can pause it quickly and see the route that you need to do it in. Now the other thing is, because I said about I got the studs, a Pro Race made up a kit for me. Obviously I didn't get the paperwork that told you how tight to do them. I had a look on ARP's website because all the tech specs are all on there, but I can't seem. I don't know if I'm being stupid or something, but I can't seem to find the 24 valve VR6 head stud kit specs at all. The 12 valve is also M10, and the last one goes up to 80 foot-pounds. And then I had a look at some of the other ones. There was like the 1.8 turbo and a few others, and they were all M10 studs, and they went up to 80 foot-pounds. I also watched a video of a guy building one, and he went up to 80 foot-pounds. So I'm assuming it's 80 foot-pounds. If you break it down, you're meant to do it in 3 stages, so there'd be like really odd numbers trying to keep it even. Just to be extra careful, I've decided I'm going to go 4, just because I feel like it makes sense. So I'm going to go 20 foot-pounds, 4 tear, 6 tear, 8 tear. To me, it just makes sense. It does make it a little bit longer. There is 20 studs, so you got to do 20 nuts up 4 times. It's a lot, but we'll get it. So let's start. So the awkward thing is we don't tell which one it is. So so you should have 3, so it's this one. So this one is the first one on the list. So I've got it set. Oh, torque wrench back on. Right, so we've got 20 foot-pounds. One. 2. 20. Right, so now we're going to jump up to 40 foot-pounds to the middle. So we've got 19, 20. Now on the centre ones, so they do feel a little bit different, and I think what that is as it's grabbing, as it's going down, it may be turning the stud a little bit. You do feel it on the other ones sometimes, just a little bit. It kind of feels like the stud maybe snugs down as it drags, or it could just be the nut going around. I don't know, but right. So now I'm gonna go through a 3rd time round. So now we're jumping up to 60 foot-pounds. 20. Now we're going for the grand finale, which is 80 foot-pounds. Steady my foot on this one, I reckon. 1. 20. That's it. 80 foot-pounds. I probably will just go over them again just to double check. You don't have to do that. I just like to do it just to make sure now all of them are down. If we just go around, just make sure they're all still at 80. It's a bit awkward looking at these numbers and working out what it is. It's like fucking looking at an advent calendar and trying to find the number. But yeah, that's it. The head is on, finally. Obviously got to put the cams in and that. I'll leave that for another video. I mean, this video, I was worried this video was going to be too short just putting the head on, but then with all the fucking shit I've encountered, this video ended up way longer than I thought. So yeah, it's a good job I didn't plan to put the cams in and stuff. So yeah, I'll catch you on the next video. We'll put the cams in. I've got new lifters. Put the arms in, put the cams in, lock it all together. Maybe do a few other little bits, put the manifold on and stuff. And then the video after that will then be putting the timing chain on, timing chain covers, and we'll get it cracking, and we'll start getting close to the engine being built basically. So yeah, like always, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.